Last time I smoked the Skyrim pack, my channel was oozing with side man aroma. Sub count was lacking like its last name was Pool, with its mighty meat masher Jack Hammer looking much smaller, as were your physiques. But after adopting the complexities of the intricate tactics of ISIS, mainly due to the Walking Dead on Crack series, after that I thought, shit, I don't discriminate. You get a crack pipe, you get a crack pipe, everybody gets a crack pipe, except you. And finally returned Skyrim's morning after calls with a booty inquisition of my own. As we prepare to delve into the main storyline with the dragons and Dawnguard DLC with the, we'd make a lot more money if we made our players want to jack off every half hour of Todd Howard's Milkers. So join me as we smoke some crack off a dragon's ass and start Skyrim on Crack Part 2. Just a quick side note, a little rough anal BDSM before we get started. I did complete the Dawnguard DLC the first time, which took me about 7 hours, and just as I was about to finish it, my PC made like slippery wet feces and splatted while recording MP4. All that meaning Will Smith just showed the fuck up and said,
it's rewind time.
And the footage was lost. After contemplating whether suicide by cholera or dysentery injection was the more appropriate option, I did end up enabling all fast travel locations to speed up the sequel to Groundhog Day, as well as reduce the odds of me logging out of God's servers from having to play through Elder Scrolls rendering. As I'm walking up to Fort Dawnguard preparing to receive my genocidal extermination license of the period-sucking variety, we get an individual who walks up to us blubbering on about, I'm scared. Shut up, you pee while sitting down, walking vagina transplant advertisement. Infuriation was the only thing that could describe my rage. I couldn't comprehend an organization as prestigious as the Dawnguard inviting bitches like this. The only thing you're guarding at dawn as an early shift is Chucky the Rat's bouncer on a Saturday. Manpower must be low if they've started scraping that shit out of the barrel. It'd have to be another form of desperate to spend 150 political power just to get blonde Shaggy with less Scooby than the remake. My manpower theory seems to be correct as I'm making my way downtown, walking fast, but no faces past this time, as this castle looks more barren than a native village post Andrew Jackson, which makes me question why the vampires don't just stroll on through. The best defense the Dawnguard can put up is probably some pylons, a couple stop signs, and Wily the Coyote's paintings. The only experienced lookout here is Salon, which sounds like a Pokemon Elite Four trainer. You expect this name's one letter off from cum synonym to send out Pikachu to stop the vampire hordes. Terrible defensive philosophy aside, I get to
What is up, Trouble Alert?
Killer Keemstar, who keeps me in the loop as soon as he's given the scoop as the bona fide quest provider. Isrun, whose beards beat his head in a tug of war, inducts me into the Dawnguard Order, no interview, background check, or nothing. Heck, I could have been a vampire for all he knows, although considering we have Femboy and Goodwill Cynthia as our only brothers in arms, he was probably desperate to get warm bodies to the front, evidenced by him entrusting me to reclaim his hairline on my first mission to steal some Manscaped products from vampires poking around in the cave. This reminds me, this video is sponsored by I'm just kidding. Me and Jazarko bust in, ready to bust nuts with our guns out, bras dropped, nipples lactated, where we determine the death hounds are acutely well trained. Roll over. Oh, you're so lucky this cage is stopping me from killing you.
Cross this line now, beat your ass. Don't lie. Bring that ass.
Some may call my sword Chillren, but Loki calls it Cinderblock, tucking him and the rest of the vampires to sleep with an affectionate kiss on the forehead and permanent rides on the short bus to follow. We get to some weird instrument which looks like whoever built Stonehenge took a contract job for, and the Dragonborn demonstrates his capable abilities, a real god amongst men, intentionally gets punctured in the head twice and still comes out of it alive. Goodness, if I had panties on right now, they would need an industrial grade ringer to bring down the flood threat. After completing Harry Potter's entrance exam, a genie pops out the center and grants me one wish. I wish I had a big titty goth girlfriend with daddy issues. Observe the bustling, bristly bussy of Jazargo. He sees the goth girlfriend and asks where the treasure is, ignoring the life-ruining experience he could have with this mysterious woman. The only ruining he's got going on is crashing Spain's economy with gold again. Can I get a C, senor? The mystery woman was expecting another individual, one who could help her with her menorhagia when the pads run dry. This is where the greatest plot hole in the game comes in. I'm a vampire killer, sworn to stand by my brother's gender bender, ace trainer Salon, and Keemstar, and a vampire is right in front of me. I just violated 8 of them, and this one has a fucking Elder Scroll, Skyrim mass weapon of mass destruction. All she's missing is some oil to flip George Bush's switch to
Maximum overdrive. Wait.
And what do? She asks me to escort her back home, presumably to the League of Villains, getting ready to plot some form of nefarious activities, and the dragon simp says, "Hop on, I'll carry you." We get Galileo being left over after Hercules used a glorified magnifying glass to sculpt Medusa before her feeding process. Making matters worse, we get out and get to a castle that makes Dracula's look like a child's bouncy house. Entering the castle, we get her personal hype man announcing her return, and we meet her daddy for the next 2 days, keeping that position nice and warm for me. We do get a front row seat to all those daddy complications though, and he wants to give us a reward, to make us a pseudo-nurse to his doctor sins. I'm not interested in this anime plotline, so he banishes us from the castle and says, "Roll up on our block again."
But, I packed that thing too, so you come around this way, you will get caught.
Remember when I said, why don't the vampires just stroll on through? I get there just in time to see Harkon's electromagnetic force field finish them off, and he says, what I just verbalized. You met a vampire with an Elder Scroll, and you delivered her to Doofenshmirtz's evil. Due to my damassery, we need help. And I'm sent to recruit 2 more members from the team since Budget Fred and Team Peak 10 steps outside his front house trainer aren't going to be enough to stop an Elder Scroll. Serene wants me to find her a dwarven testicle, and Gunmar wants me to help kill a bear terrorizing the population. No bear is going to put me out of business as I lead the charge against my direct competitor. This bear apparently runs with spiders, and I have to deal with the fucking Wonder Pets. We get back and Isrin showers us in his godly semen to ascertain if we're vampires or not, and after he's satisfied both mentally and sexually, he tells me to come up. A vampire's come for a conjugal visit. Serana tells us aid is needed. Her father's gunning for an evil prophecy with the Elder Scroll I hand-delivered to him, mind you. Isrin says I can keep her and lets her know in his castle, woman ain't got no rights. Living right by the 18th century motto. Her throat may impress, but she cannot vote for Congress. Sidney Crosby. Serana says if she's gonna come, she wants to come alone.
What did you say, nigga?
Khajiit got your back.
First things first, we need to find a moth priest to read the scrolls, cause, the Dragonborn skipped a little of his schooling years. He can clobber you any day of the week, except if there's finals, he might have to take a rain check on that one. We need the priest to explain this prophecy that's got Harkon's titties twisted, sending us to Dragonbray. Forgot I made Ted Bundy look like a minor domestic offender in this area before. But with this mask on and hitting him with small talk about the weather, he thinks I'm white, so I'm able to pay my way out of jail time. He tells me the priest rode through with an escort and is heading north, so I attempt to catch his trail. We get to the spilt over carriage where even one of the dudes was even slapped, stripped, and sodomized. The dreaded 3 S's, God bless his soul. And we get a convenient note the vampires drop just telling us where they took the priest, address and everything, with even some common troubleshooting tips if our GPS was malfunctioning. After Uno reversing the 3 S's on Malchus and his gang, I free Dexy and Ivicus. I'm sure the writers are still punching themselves for not making the second part of his name Ormus. Dixian is brainwashed, however, my father taught me well as I beat the stupid out of him. In another showcase of extraordinary genius, after squeezing the feces out of the priest like he was a tub of toothpaste going on empty, he goes, wait, tell me where I need to go and I'll happily meet you there without betraying our agreement, in which you currently have the upper hand, and my only hope being lying out of this situation. And I just let him go. I'm face-palming thinking I lost. No, he actually showed up. God, I wish I was in Skyrim. My 3rd grade intellect would have me ruling these fools like Maven Blackbriar if given the chance. Start a foot-stepping operation with Lydia and Isolde, start rolling in the cash. Lavnazim flying higher than any cloud district he's ever been to. You can call me a
Pimp named Slickback.
Dixon gets to his reading and starts acting like he isn't actually a moth priest at all, and is just putting up a lie to stay alive. Oh yes, I see, a vision before me, a bow. A voice is whispering to me. A big titty goth girlfriend with daddy issues needs to take off her top to save the world. After not biting on that last bit, he's out of options and says we need a 2nd Elder Scroll. Yeah, they'll never find a 2nd. You know what? Just in case. You need a 3rd. Yes, a 3rd Elder Scroll, and he's done all he can do. Serana says she knows where we can find a 2nd Elder Scroll. Her mother had one, but her mother is located on the back of milk cartons they give during lunchtime. We have to go back to the Ops' base to find evidence of her disappearance. As I contemplate whether a night with a big titty vampire is worth Harkon's asshole plugging and creating wrath, she says the castle is a secret back entrance to her bedroom. Would you look at that? I'm already there. After sneaking in to inspect the bone density of some minor skeleton, not miners, miners, saw. We sneak through the palace, trying to find her bedroom while continuing our good work for the PETA Foundation, and get to the backyard where her mother routinely spent most of her days. I gallop around to find some dishes to place on the sundial as it opens into an underground staircase where we interrupt the skeleton orgy and arrive at Valencia's secret bunker. Damn, this bitch really lived like the Germans were flying overhead. After gathering some random substances that could make me see God if mixed with enough crack, Serana's gonna add some menstruation to my cocktail. Apparently that's the last straw, as even God's had enough of my shit and exclaims, "Get the fuck down here now." So I make my way down, I burn, getting roasted like I'm in a volcano's urethra, stinging me repeatedly. So I'm getting ready to diagnose Serana with gonorrhea. She says no, she just needs to trap my soul or make me a vampire. Both of which feed into my domination fetish, so I make the difficult decision and let her bite me. Close your eyes, kids. I get to the underworld and meet all the familiar faces like Hitler, Genghis, the fucker who first walked on land. One of them wanted my help in finding a skull, which I do, but first we have to get to the giant castle in the middle. I contemplate why it's further apart from the entrance than Sid the Sloth's eyes, an inconvenience to any visitors. We meet Serana's mother, who tells me the key to the prophecy is Serana herself. Who could have seen that plot twist coming? On the summoning day, a very refined cultural festival, Malik Ball, the guy who gave us the mace, defiles women, and if they survive, they become vampires, which sounds like a kind of lopsided trade you'd find on a Reddit side effect to a superpower post. You live forever as a vampire, but you live with the trauma of getting fisted by a god to near death. These victims are called the Daughters of Cold Harbor, whose blood is needed for the ritual Harkon wants. She agrees to help us, but needs us to break the force field by eliminating 3 battle towers and the keepers guarding them, but be warned, Durnavir the dragon. Durnavir. No one named Durnavir poses any threat. Might as well put Benjamin or Douglas on the birth certificate. I take this misplaced confidence and find Arvak's skull, giving me a sweet undead skeleton as a reward before continuing to the towers, attempting to keep my natural urges from collapsing those towers with a Boeing 787. The first keeper was by far the hardest, bringing back the trauma of my father as a kid, as I'm barely able to beat him. I hit the second one with a Dale Detroit urban survival training run around fuck around ultimate. Third one is an archer, and I'm prepared to face these long range projectiles with Dale's training techniques once again, as I fist him up to my elbow like I was Vince Carter in 2000, and there go the 3 keepers. After a brief stint as Satan's cum puddle, I meet back up with Valencia, who tells me to watch out for Contavious, showing up at the sound of my relentless bullying assault. With my build having no long-range missiles of my own, I swing my sword in the air viciously. He takes the challenge and I kiss his penis goodnight before he disintegrates, leaving my mommy's mother to give me the Elder Scroll. As Serana and I are leaving, Guinevere shows up and says that he's never been kissed like that before and wants me to scream his name when I'm in the overworld, helping me in my times of need, and I say, shit, yes. Thanks, Demetrius. You're telling me I can send a fucking dragon from the underworld to deal with some petty level 1 bandits 10 steps outside Riverwood? Fuckers are gonna meet their maker's biggest stop in hell toll-free. They ask me for a damn toll to pass again. We get back to the surface world, and me and Serana get going to find Dragon, a 3rd Elder Scroll to finish this collect quest. I think the College of Shitterhole might have some sort of notion about an Elder Scroll. We get to the wizard, evidently named by a caveman, who doesn't immediately give me an Elder Scroll, which is disappointing, but he gives me some books on where to find one, and I discover one of the scriptures is unreadable, so I ask Unga Bunga if his parents wrote this shit, and he says nah, it's Septimus, who's been field researching for the last decade. I have a theory that Septimus is Unga Bunga's actual father, since he lives in a sewer hole in the Arctic and starts speaking gibberish after I try to decipher where the Elder Scroll is. He tells me to go to Blackreach with a Rubik's Cube as my only clue and a pat on the back. I enter the Dwarven Ruin, kill a Khajiit who bludgeoned his brother in jizz, and continue making my way through. And where there's Dwarven ruins, there's the natives. I'm not surprised, Skyrim's dungeons have as much variation as Little Baby on the track. I get to the not-so-friendly giant who breaks the rules of engagement and refuses to let me charge up my super powerful attack before blasting my ass with nitrous oxide, so I sacrifice Serana's lungs to launch the assault. Does about fuck all to him. My Kamehameha was nothing more than a Kami-ha-ha-ha, but I'm the last one laughing after I beat his ass while he's distracted by the indigenous peoples. Me and Serana get to the Rubik's Cube machine and we observe a couple going through a fight, so we place our bets and watch them duke it out in a domestic violence TV soap opera. Serana sees her side losing and intervenes, though, forcing me to do the same and decapitate Uman. What are these names, man? She hit the randomizer in some indie fantasy game. We take the elevator to Blackreach as I admire the beautiful interior, luscious life, as well as ambient visual display. The first time I came down here, at least. Second time I speed ran the entire thing because I was still pissed at the Fresh Prince. After reaching a sort of mechanism, I place the Rubik's Cube before sending out random bullshit and just pressing as many buttons as I can, which would have been the end for me if there was any sort of defensive threat like a trapdoor or poison darts, which is everywhere this game except for the Tamriel nuclear option apparently. unfortunately. But luckily for us, there wasn't, and my plan worked. With all 3 Elder Scrolls, I get back to Dixie Normus, who goes, "Ah, well, I'd love to be of service, but, yes, the last reading made me blind, you see. But you can read it yourself. Just use some bark to attract moths, and smoke the snoopiest of kush to get those visions." That's what I do, at least. He sends me off to a special cave with some magic can't tickle my pickled bark that attracts the butterfly's less popular cousins, who surround me and force me to smoke well past the legal driving limit. After smoking the entire brick, I deduce I'm high enough to read this scroll of elders, and it shows me the secret tunnel they used in Avatar, bestowing upon me the coordinates. As we're making our way out, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen show up from all over the globe. We got a vampire, alright, a frostbite spider, and a flame atronach. What? We had to assemble every race and still couldn't stop my homicidal rampage. We get to Darkfall Cave and Mario left a fucking banana peel on the track, causing me and Serana to get caught in a slip and slide adventure at Disney World, washing us into the pits. After loitering the premises, we come face to face with a troll whose population is looking a little too large for my liking, over the single digits. That turned out to be a guard dog for Gelibor, unfortunately, who himself is lacking so much melanin he's got a white picket fence at the age of 7. Hold on, he's a snow elf. The last of his kind, apparently, as he tells us the very sad story of how the dwarves and humans conspired to kill the snow elves, as I feel my eyes tearing up, auscultating this beautiful tale of triumph and success of Nono's side before he tells me to finish the job and kill his brother, who summoned an army of betrayed, killing the remaining snow elf population. My erection has never been so firm. I would love to meet the legend. You got it. Gelatin would love to accompany us, but you crazy? He could die. Anyways, good luck, team. We're supposed to go from way shrine to way shrine and collect some magic water from the mountains of Tibet itself to unlock his brother's current quarterings. This hemorrhoid-inducing section was long, arduous, and took me over 2 hours to complete last time, so you might be thinking to yourselves, TCLR, how did you manage the mental strain and not dip into insanity of having to do this journey again? That's easy. I skipped it. I get to the first shrine, realize the jug is called a ewer, and proceed to fill the first bucket with the Tibetan ghost monk, opening my path to the second one. Hold on to your nuts, everyone. This is going to be in... okay, let me turn the lights on first. Boom. If this won't stop racism around the world, I don't know what will. We fill the next 3 ewers, and the third section is a literal fucking maze, both in the snow cave and outside, so much so that I have to teleport Serana, who got lost, since Skyrim didn't have Walmart loudspeakers yet. Yeah, I'm not trying to go one-on-one with a frost troll in front of the bitches, so I leave Serana to handle him while I bravely run in the opposite direction. After making my way out of a Captain Crunch maze you'd solve as a kid, more mazes! Except with houses this time, as the Falmer have apparently set up shop in the local Minecraft ravine. After a couple millennia where I try to deduce the exact pattern to escape the Minotaur's labyrinth, I finally escape. And there's the 5th bucket of seminal fluid. It's time to give Big Daddy a facial for the ages. I pour the jug, causing the Green Lantern himself to open the door for me, and Serana, with the Falmer inside looking like Corvo after Flat Stanley ran up on him. Check out that video right here. After telling Serana I finally found the country of Old Zealand, a Falmer breaks out of the ice to ensure my silence, and we fight our way through the palace. Finally, we get to him, the Snow King brotherfucker. I got a little confused on the lore, but he seems alive and I'm a big fan of your work. It would be my honor to ensure your species dies out. Apparently the entire vampiric prophecy was made by him, and in this plot twist he just wanted a big titty goth girlfriend all for himself, but he was too enamored with 4chan and Reddit in his mother's basement to get one legitimately. So I'm in the fight for my life, trying to survive a horny elf's urges by having to fight these grunts out of Halo with Pokemon trainer Falmer, sending out fucking Regice to beat my ass. After bravely running away while blasting them with fire when I'm far enough away, the ceiling gives in, but Serana gives me a pep talk worthy of Optimus Primo Man himself, and I have to get up to turn off that cringe before I join Tom and Jerry on the train track, waiting for Thomas to do us in. When Sauron over here got infected by one of his disciples, Oriel the god told him, "That sounds like a you problem," causing him to swear vengeance on a god. So he needed the bow and the blood of a daughter of Cold Harbor, which we so happen to provide for him. Dragonborn guarantees same-day vampire shipping with or without Elder Scroll. Hey, step away from the gothic vampire. Oh my goodness, never mind. She just picked him up, there's no recovering from that embarrassment. While I instinctively record the dummy mommy fetish, the elf breaks free, hangs in the air, and unleashes a legendary titty thrusting maneuver, one for the ages. Thank goodness he wasn't lactating or we'd have pseudo fire alarm sprinklers to deal with, and we start eating his ass. Nope, I get ragdolled like a stuffed animal without the stuffing. Second time I'm ready as I use the age-old maneuver of beating his ass before he beats mine. He starts running like Mom called him down for pizza rolls, and I chase after him to finish him off. Gelibor comes back like, "Oh, I can't believe you actually did." I mean, good work. I knew you could accomplish such a menial task. Coming in on the priority line like he was riding business class. Why couldn't you have just teleported us with you? Anyways, I tell him the bow or his kneecaps, and he makes the wise decision. Before the final battle, I get myself a troll. Gotta get strapped up with those anchor arms, am I right? He's got the leather armor from Minecraft and everything. I pray for our enemies about to feel the slap fight palm strike this troll's about to descend upon them. Isren gets the boys together for a pre-Harkon Pack group meeting, and after the best pep talk I've ever witnessed from Keemstar.
My fellow Americans, as your president and commander-in-chief,
Off we go. You'd think we'd have to storm the beaches of Normandy or some shit, considering it's a fortified castle on an island, but nope. Good thing, too, we don't need the casualties Britain took in the Somme, or Passchendaele, or Gallipoli even. Thank God you were here. Which reminds me, just find out the British Prime Minister resigned after 1 month in office. Guess that's what they meant when they said home by Christmas. You cannot tell me a true TCLR subscriber would last a measly month as Prime Minister. We got all the primo pasta premierity you could ever want, so leave a like and subscribe to get your very own ticket in the British Prime Minister musical chairs are playing, and 2, more importantly, not miss out on future content. We charge inside the castle, taking ass and eating bodies, and we're all out of ass. We get to Harkon's secret lair, not exactly a tactical genius, considering his battle plan was hide in the back and hope they don't find me, but here we go. Little known fact about vampire, men get periods too, but it's a good thing my long-range tampon is so effective absorbing his blood barrier like Charmin Ultra Soft. A couple hits later and he turns into Queen Elizabeth's final resting for, I don't know, is she cremated? And with that, the war is over. Humans win, keeping our extinction KD at a clean 1.0. I also take control of the palace because he's gonna fucking stomp me. The pile of uranemia that used to be Harkon,